Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate the ARM allowing me to present today. Some of you may have been expecting my CEO, Miguel Forte, to do the presentation. Unfortunately, Miguel was unable to get a visa and make it over the pond. We are a publicly traded company on the Belgium stock market, so here's my disclaimer. So Bone is focused on developing innovative mesenchymal stem cell therapies. We're a clinical stage therapy company. We're addressing unmet medical needs, primarily in the bone, orthopedic or bone diseases, but we're also interested in other indications as well. Our platform is focused on generating differentiated MSC-based therapies, and we do this through cell culture, expansion, as well as gene modification. Our current pipeline is focused on a product called Allob. It's an off-the-shelf allogeneic cell therapy product that's currently in a phase 2B clinical trial. We also have a product called BT20. It's an immunomodulatory product that's in preclinical characterization. We have strong IP regarding the Allob as well as our production manufacturing process, and we are listed on the Belgian stock market, as I already said. So in terms of the focus or investment highlights for Bone, we are focusing on the completion of our phase 2B study with Allob for difficult fractures. And we're hoping to complete that enrollment in 2022 so that we can have the clinical results. We're also really focused on accelerating strategic discussions for commercialization of our clinical assets with multiple partners. And we've been investing heavily in our differentiated MSC platform for the development of new targets. Miguel, our CEO, over the past 2 years has assembled a very strong management team. We have Stefanos Theoharis as our Chief Business Officer, Anne Lieselbaum as our Chief Medical Officer, and Sophie Lebrun as our Chief Operating Officer. And more recently, Liv Creighton was hired as a Chief Financial Officer, who she has an experience in mergers and acquisitions. And I only arrived in Bone in April. So as I mentioned, we have Allob, which is currently in phase 2B. We also had a product called JTA. It's a synthoelastic. And JTA was designed for reducing pain and knee osteoarthritis. We announced the top-line results, 3-month results, a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, we did not hit our primary endpoint. We're continuing to follow the patients up to 1 year and collecting data, but we are making that product available for partnerships. As I mentioned, our focus is on the MSC therapy. Allob is in the phase 2B for difficult fractures. We have also conducted studies in spinal fusion, and those indications are partnered with Pregene, which has the rights to conduct studies in China and markets for Southeast Asia. We also are developing a novel product for immunomodulation called BT20, which is currently in preclinical testing, and we are working to develop other differentiated MSC products for other indications. In terms of the orthopedic market, difficult fractures as well as spinal fusion, there's a fairly large population that has unmet medical need. Currently, the treatment of these two indications is surgeries, autologous bone grafts, as well as the off-label use of BMP2. There is a high unmet medical need, and in fact, for the fractures, many patients will have delayed union grafts or that can progress to non-union grafts. Now, I mentioned there is the off-label use of BMP2. Unfortunately, it is safety concerns as well as a lack of strong efficacy data. In the case of spinal fusions, you can get bone grafts, requires multiple surgeries, and again, there's limited efficacy. And again, there's also the off-label BMT usage. And so we think that Allob is well positioned to be used for the treatment of difficult fractures as well as spinal fusion. So the platform that Bone has been developing is a differentiated MSC platform. We have two different sources for the generations of MSC. We currently are using a bone marrow-derived product, which we differentiate into MSCs or isolate, and then during the expansion phase, we precondition the cells to create more professionalized MSCs that are more targeted for their therapeutic indication. In the case of Allo, it's targeted toward bone healing. In the case of BT20, it's geared for immunomodulation. We're also developing a novel iPSC-derived MSC platform. And the utility there is we can do genetic engineering of the iPSC and, again, create iMSCs that are more professionalized for their target indications. Currently, bone marrow is isolated, mesenchymal stem cells are isolated, and there's a differentiation process. And in the case of Allub, that differentiation process results in a professionalized MSC that's geared for bone healing. From a single donor, we can generate enough product to dose 100,000 patients. As with many other MSC products, it's off the shelf, allogeneic, it's scalable, and it's a cryopreserved product. Here's some data from our preclinical studies. This is a femoral defect model, and what you can see here is Allo, either with or without a scaffold, significantly improves not only the rate of the healing, but as well as the increase in the bone formation. So based on these results, our hypothesis is that in patients with difficult fractures that we would see not only an improvement in terms of the time to heal, but we would see less delayed union or non-union fractures. This is data from a phase 1/2 clinical trial. 21 patients received Allo. And you can see that within 6 months, there was a significant improvement in healing. In addition, we saw a sustainable benefit in terms of the overall health status of the patients, so that even up to 6 months, the patients saw a significant improvement in their health status. We also conducted a phase 1/2 study for Spinal Fusion. At 12 months, you can see 73% of the patients had continuous bone bridges, and at 2 years, that improved to 90%. Also, when we assessed functional disability, you can see again over the 2 years that there's sustainable benefit with a reduction in disability for these patients. Bone is currently conducting a phase 2b study for difficult fractures. This is a placebo-controlled, randomized, double-blind, multi-center study. We've initiated recruitment, and we hope to receive top-line results in the second half of 2022. In this study, patients will receive Allo within 24 to 96 hours after standard reduction surgery. And our focus is on patients who are at risk for delayed union or non-union fractures. We hope to enroll 178 patients. The study is being conducted in 7 European countries with over 40 sites. The primary endpoint for this study is the RUS score, which is a radiological score used to measure the bone healing in tibia. And even though it's quite early in terms of bone healing at 3 months, it's very predictive of the future for the fracture, the healing of the fracture. Additionally, we'll also focus on secondary points, including the speed and rate of the healing, the rate of rescue intervention, leg function, and return to normal activities. I'll briefly mention BT20. Again, it's focused on immunomodulation. We're using the same platform as Allo. We have already had discussions with Belgian regulatory authorities and received a grant to conduct preclinical as well as a phase 1 clinical study. And currently we're targeting it for COVID-19-induced ARDS. We've established a number of partnerships, as I've mentioned, with Pregene. They have the exclusive license for Allo for difficult fractures, as well as spinal fusions for China and Southeast Asia. We are in a relationship with Catalent. We actually sold our manufacturing unit to Catalent, and then they are responsible for the production of ALUB. We also have a partnership with Regeneron, which is an Italian-based company, for developing novel MSC-based products, and we've received numerous grants from the Walloon region for the development of scaffolds to be used with ALUB for other orthopedic indications. So in terms of timelines, our goal or focus is really to complete the phase 2b study, to establish novel targets, to conduct IND-enabling studies, and ultimately in 2023 we will hopefully have a new INDs on our new MSC products, as well as a phase 3 clinical study for ALUB for difficult fractures. In terms of finances, we recently established a loan agreement with the European Investment Bank for up to 16 million euros. It's being paid in 2 tranches. The first tranche was 8 million, which we received recently. And we currently have on hand 6 million euros. Our cash runway is to the second quarter of 2022, and we have approximately 25% institutional investors. Our key priorities for 2021, obviously, is to accelerate the enrollment of ALUB in the phase 2b clinical trial, to have expanded collaborations with potential business partners and discussions of our clinical assets, and to invest in the differentiated cell IMSC platform. So that's the end of the story. I'm around all today, and here's the contact information if you have any additional questions. Thank you very much.